just listening. I was there when the rain tapped away down your face. You were a miracle, I was holding your space. Through the glass, the corn crows come like rain. They won't stay.
It's easy to watch other people's lives through a screen and imagine they have it all. You might see me and think I'm a fashionable young woman living my best life in a glamorous city. Reality is not always what meets the eye. We may be more similar than you think. I haven't been in a romantic relationship since high school. I'm 26 years old now, so about 9 years, and I am just really, really lonely. Since graduating college, I've frequently made a concerted effort to intentionally date, and all of those ultimately end up in rejection, either from their end or mine. Some have been amicable and easy, and some leave me feeling like shit. Going so long without any romantic confirmation or validation, it's really hard not to turn inwards and question what's wrong with me, why am I not lovable, why am I not enough for a relationship, and it seems like everyone else is. And despite this intense desire to turn inward and blame myself or find the reason within myself, that's all about control. I'm trying to control the situation, and the only thing I can control in a two-person dynamic is me, which through therapy I know is not a useful mechanism for thinking about dating. There could be a million reasons someone rejects you or something just doesn't work out, and that is okay. Right now, I'm just in another one of those ruts where I'm feeling very hopeless about dating. I don't know if you've been watching my dating series, but I recently was talking to a guy and we'd hung out quite a few times. Never got sexually intimate or anything like that, but he just sort of ghosted me for whatever reason. He thought it was moving too fast. He realized it wasn't what he wanted. I wasn't what he wanted. So it just sucks to feel like you have a connection with someone and for them to not want to continue getting to know you or continue down that path. Every time something like this happens, I get really hopeful and excited, which usually results in this sort of crash out afterwards where I feel very sad about love, very hopeless. I just feel like, why can't it be me? Why can it never be me? I know I have standards and I will not date someone who's not a good fit for me, so that could be a reason, but God, it's just fucking lonely. And not only am I actually lonely in the romantic sense, but I feel alone in this experience. I don't know many people who have gone this long without dating. 2 of my sisters are married. One of them has been in a relationship for 9 years. All of my home friends have been in long-term relationships. A lot of my friends here have experienced long relationships, and it just feels really shit, to be completely honest. Is living in New York City one of the hardest cities to date and help? Probably not. I just feel so desperate for that type of connection. I just long for that kind of connection so much. I am such a lover girl. I love to love. I love my friends. I love my life. And it just fills me up to love. So I just want it to happen. And I know one day it will. I'm impatient. And it's been a long time for me. I just got this vintage nightgown the other day at the thrift store, vintage shop, whatever you want to call it. I'm literally so obsessed with it. I can only wear it in the house because it is so sheer. I do not know what I would wear underneath it, but I wish I could wear my nipples out in public because it is a beautiful sight. But seriously, this lace is just so stunning. Whenever I eventually live alone, I just want to wear nightgowns around the house because they make me feel so beautiful and luxurious and feminine. I feel like a little Victorian orphan child in the best kind of way. I really struggle with my body image. If you don't know, during college, I gained 50 pounds. Was always sort of a chunkier kid, but this is when it was extremely significant and I was in the plus size range. That in and of itself sort of wrecked my self-esteem. And now, since losing a good portion of that weight, I really struggle with how I perceive myself. I never know if I'm thin, if I'm fat, if whatever. And though I've lost that weight, I'm often still the chunky friend, the person who is the largest in every picture. And sometimes that just gets to you. Objectively, I love my body. I love wearing pretty things on it. I love how it looks. Society makes me feel bad about it. Despite being in a smaller body, it's still not the ideal. Like most things in life, I have good days and I have bad days. On the bad days, I could be taking pictures with my friends, see one photo of myself that I don't like, and it sends me into a spiral. Despite you guys consuming my content and thinking that I am confident all the time, I really am not. Thankfully, getting older does help quite a bit with self-image. I don't fall into negative ruts as often as I did in my teenhood and early 20s, but it's still there. Something that has helped me overcome that is doing things that familiarize myself with my body. So I know I've talked about it a lot in my other videos, but I've really gotten to yoga this year. Just rolling around on the floor every day, moving in different positions, seeing my body fold and do weird lumps and yada yada. It just helps you get used to the skin you're in, and it helps you focus more on how you feel versus what you look like, which is the most important thing. This is going to be very honest. There's not a day that goes by where I don't worry about gaining the weight back. Being fat fucking sucks. You're treated horribly, you feel horrible in your body. It's just something that is constantly plaguing my mind, and I'm hyper aware of how my clothes are fitting and if they're getting too tight or what have you. I've been in a pretty stable place these past few years, but it's just something I'm always thinking about, which upsets me. I would love to be in a more stable eating scenario, physical activity scenario where I can count on my routine to keep me level, but I'm just scared. Whenever people compliment me on my confidence, I think they see me now as a bigger person. Little do they know, I weighed 50 more pounds than I do now. And when I was that size, I put a lot of effort into my confidence and wearing what I wanted despite what I look like and taking on the world as if it didn't treat me differently, even though it did. I also want to remind you, I am curating what you are perceiving of me. I could take 500 pictures and only post 2 to Instagram that I looked exceptionally good in. I really have an internal battle with embracing my natural human beauty. Like everyone, I pick myself apart. I only see the bad. It's hard to see what I look like objectively. So as much as you see my content and see it as aspirational or beautiful, just know I'm having a mental breakdown about it like every other person. There are times I feel so ugly I just want to crawl up in bed and die. Another piece that ties into the body image, weight loss of it all. I've never been diagnosed, but I do think I struggle with body dysmorphia sometimes. I don't know what my body looks like. I don't know what size it is. I don't know how to perceive my body anymore because it's fluctuated so much within the past 5, 6, 7 years. So it can be very hard for me to objectively perceive what I look like. I am the same person I was when I was 50 pounds heavier, and it's hard to differentiate that now. You struggle with your body image. I've been there. I am there. I'm there all the time. The best thing you can do is be gentle on yourself and be thankful for what your body can do. I am breathing, I'm able to walk, I'm healthy. And that alone is such a blessing that so many aren't fortunate to have. We don't have to look perfect to appreciate our bodies and what they can do for us.
And hate runs through my blood. Well, my tongue was in love, but my heart was left above. I gotta be leaving now.
Check out this strawberry matcha I just got from Kichitora here in Williamsburg. I actually hate matcha. I think it tastes like dirt, but this one is decent because it has a strawberry puree at the bottom. Get a good look. Some ASMR. This is made with whole milk, so I might be shitting myself later. We'll see. Something you guys might not know about me is I don't have a relationship with my mother. I've been no contact with her for 10 years. So since I was 16 years old, I have not spoken with her, engaged with her in any kind of way. This is something that is hugely profound in my life. Anyone who knows me in person knows how much this has affected me and made me who I am today. But truthfully, it's something I am sort of scared to talk about via the internet. Despite me blocking her on every communication avenue, I am obviously a public creator, so she has access to all the content I create, and she has made that known before. When I initially started on TikTok, she sent screenshots of all of my videos and sent them to my entire family, claiming I was promiscuous, obviously in ruder words than that, insinuating I would be sexually assaulted based on how I dressed, implied some Halloween makeup on my neck was a hickey, things of all that fun nature, and trying to shame me and the rest of my family for not taking action on what I was doing. That's just a small little taste of my mother. Other figures in general typically play a huge part in people's lives. So to not have that and in fact have it be a negative relationship has really changed my outlook on family. You don't realize how often people talk about their families or their mother specifically until you don't have that relationship. And thankfully it's been quite a while now, so I'm just sort of used to being the black sheep. But even people asking about my parents and my mother, it genuinely comes up in conversation regularly, and I always just tell them, like, I actually don't have a relationship with my mom. She's really abusive. And I'm not sharing this with you for pity purposes. I don't need you to feel bad for me. More so, I want to reassure you, if you have a bad family situation, that you're not alone and you can come out the other end of it. For a long time, I was really bitter about my situation. Frankly, I was jealous of other people for having healthy relationships with their parents and specifically their mothers. Thankfully, through therapy and extensive work on myself, I am a bit past that. But during holidays, those feelings certainly flare up. If you have an unhealthy family situation or toxic parents, holy shit, I am sorry. If anyone can understand how impactful a negative familial relationship can have on you, it is me. It's not a fun feeling like you have nobody to rely on, or worse, that nobody really loves you. The good news is when you get older, you have the autonomy to move out, to take care of yourself, and choose whether you want to be in contact with those people or not. To be completely honest, my life didn't start to really get better until I completely moved away from my family. I think when you're stuck in those situations, it's sort of hard to see the truth of the impact that it is having on you. So if you are stuck in a bad situation, speak up and find a way to move out. And of course, that is a lot easier said than done, and it took me a really long time, but it gets better, I promise.
Her Majesty's a pretty nice girl, but she doesn't have a lot to say. Her Majesty's a pretty nice girl, but she changed from day to day. Wanna tell her that I love her a lot, but I gotta get a belly full of wine. She's a pretty nice girl, someday I'm gonna make her mine. Oh yeah, someday I'm gonna make her mine.
I don't think I realized how hungry I was, but it is 3:08 and the last thing I ate was breakfast, so I went to one of my quick spots I go to in Williamsburg, which is Vanessa's Dumpling House. I got some edamame and vegetable dumplings. It is cheap, it is yummy, it is fast. Not ask for anything more. Something else that might not be obvious to the eye is I have struggled with my mental health since childhood. Not until recently was I diagnosed with chronic PTSD, so I am very prone to depression. I didn't quite realize how depressed I was until my therapist sort of called it out and was like, yeah, babe, that seems like depression. A year ago, I came to a point where I was like, I'm exercising, I'm eating right, I'm socializing, and I am still feeling this way, where my therapist actually asked if I would consider going on medication. And when she first asked this, I was really taken aback and offended almost. Like she was somehow critiquing my humanity and my capability to be a good human, which I'm never judgmental of other people for being on medication, so I don't know why it felt so personal in that moment. But long story short, I decided to give it a try. So a year ago, I went on Prozac. Prozac sort of gives you an extra little boost. So instead of sedating me like some medications, which are useful for people with anxiety, I need a little kick in the butt. So that's what Prozac does. And being on medication, I swear to God, has changed my life. I feel more capable than ever. I understand the world easier. I fall into less depression spirals. Can't explain how much this drug has benefited me. And I'm so thankful for doing the work with my therapist, and after a few years, her recommending it. Thank God I listened. I still deal with days where I just want to lay in bed all day, all week, and not interact with anyone. The world is already hard enough, but then adding a layer of mental health trouble on top of it makes it that much harder. I moved to New York all by myself 3 years ago. Had some like acquaintances here, but didn't really know anybody. And moving to a big old city by yourself, especially New York City, was a leap of faith. I felt called to do it, but with every step I was unsure. The first night I moved in, I had a horrible move-in experience, but the first night I laid there on my mattress on the floor, no sheets on it, and I was just sort of questioning like, fuck, did I just make the biggest mistake of my life? Of course, that was just an extreme emotion to the intense move. But honestly, after the first year, I am the happiest I've ever been. I'm so glad to be here in New York City. I can confidently say I have friends and a community and people I can lean on, which is just an amazing feeling. And one that I think is actually easier to find in cities where there are so many people, so many activities to do. If you're scared to make a move, do it. It could change your life, and you can always move back if things don't work. Like with anything, living in New York can have its challenges, but for me, it's been amazing. You know, this video isn't meant to generate any pity for me. I'm just trying to show you that my life isn't perfect, even though it might look so from the outside. And just like you, I have my everyday struggles that I have to power through and continue on. That being said, I'm really grateful for my life and where I've ended up. And it's not a blessing that everyone gets to experience, so I'm very thankful. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. If you're new here, please subscribe, leave a like, a comment. I'd love to have you. And I will see you guys next video. Bye, losers.